Thanks for tuning back in, everybody. Today we got a bit of a different project going on in the house. So right here we actually have a product I purchased off eBay. It is a used Halo 5 Edition Xbox One controller, and it's said to be broken. So let's take a look at what I got here. We'll test it, see if it works. The issue that was listed on the listing is that the D-pad actually no longer works on it. So let's get it out, see what it looks like, clean it up, try it on the system, and we'll go from there. I'm going to just tear into it right now. Using the quality screwdriver to get it open, because who actually needs anything else? Not a lot of padding in the box, but I guess you get what you get. And this is something I saw on it, is that it had a different color backing plate for the battery. No worries there though. I actually have this other controller right here, which has been in my parts bin forever. It's got a knockoff battery pack, but it is a black knockoff battery pack, so at least it will fit a bit better blending in. But first off, let's get to cleaning it. Good precaution in today's day and age. Okay. Get it all nice and clean as best as you can. It's never going to be perfect, but good little starting off spot. Just to where when I'm touching on it, I don't feel all that gross by it. I mean, honestly, it came in and it's very clean to begin with. I'm going to give the seller credit there. It does not look like it was used all that often. And it doesn't quite look like it was thrown into a wall either, which is kind of important when you're buying controllers. Somebody lost a game of Halo or Call of Duty. It's looking pretty good for, a basic cleaning on it. Will say I found its first little issue. There is actually a chip on it, right up in this corner piece right here. But other than that, it's looking pretty darn good. And considering I don't currently have an Xbox One controller, so I don't have anything to use on my Xbox One, it will be beneficial. And the other thing I didn't mention at the beginning is that I actually only paid $20 for this, which is not bad at all for a nice controller, even for a broken one. I'm trying to buy one for the past few months, and they're all way too much money in my opinion. Looks like we got our first signs of somebody going in there as well. They've already broke the seal for it. But before we get too far into it, let's just take some batteries. Let's see what it does on the actual game system. See if it even works. Okay. Put that other battery pack back on it. Like I said, looks much better compared to the white one that was on there before. Okay, let's go plug it in and see what it does. Okay, so I now have the controller hooked into the actual Xbox, and we have it in the menu to test the buttons for it. So let's just try that. Got the A button, X, Y, B, right trigger, right button, left trigger. Everything's registering, even the clicks. Well, I guess there we have it. $20, working controller. We'll still just tear it apart, take a look at what it's like on the inside, kind of see if we can get this to have a little bit more response, because this bottom button is not very clicky. If you can kind of hear it, and try and get it close to the headphone. That's one button, but this is down. So you can kind of hear that tactile difference. So let's start tearing into this and see what we find in there. Okay, so now we got the controller back over on the table. Let's just tear it apart and kind of see what we see in there. So first off, you take your battery cover off, take your batteries out. Then you're going to need the Xbox bit, which is actually, let's see if I can still read it on here. I bought this forever ago. Looks like it's a T8 security bit. If you're wondering though where to get these, I just bought mine off eBay. Just type in, Xbox controller bit and you'll find thousands of results. Shouldn't have much of an issue getting it. Because of course, gotta use the security bits and everything. But once you take this off, you're gonna start taking apart these two side pieces. So I find a good way to start is just kind of peeling back on them, right on the bottom corners. A lot of times, if they've been into before, you can get them with just your nails. Otherwise, you can always get a little plastic pry bar. This one's coming apart relatively easily though, so I don't think we're going to have to resort to anything like that. So once we're at that point, let's just take out the other security bits. So there's one right up in the front right here. I'm just going to leave it in there. Then you've got another one right back here. That one actually came out with it. Knock that other out before we lose it. And then it's going to be the exact same on the other side. One up top, one below. Knock those out. Then you're going to start being able to get into the controller by pulling off this faceplate. Which, since I bought this used, that's a good time to get in all these little edges. So that's where all the previous person's finger grime is going to be. Nice and gross. Give it a good clean down. And now we get to the D-pad. So the D-pad's where we're having the issues. So you can hear it clicks right here, but not nearly as good as those other clicks. Usually it has to do with this metal piece right down here. I'm just going to finish pulling it apart so we can get a better view on it. Taken apart one of these controllers in a long time. Mainly PlayStation ones I've been working on. Which makes me feel like I've forgotten something. We'll take these off as well. Thumbsticks just pull right off. There we go. Now we can see everything. So let's just try getting this bracket off. All you have to do is you just pull down on it a little, then up. Then you can actually lift it off. I'm just going to leave that controller centered. So now you can see it's got the full click that it should have had before. I'm going to take a look real quick into my parts controller and see what it looks like in there. Okay, now through a process of trial and error, I can see that both of them are the exact same. So there is nothing wrong with this one. My guess is it's this metal piece that is actually what's wrong with it. So what you can do to fix that is you're just going to take these pieces, just increase the bends on them. Just take them, pull them down a bit, make it so they hang down further. over time they start to wear. They just don't press as hard anymore. Then all we gotta do, line it back up on the controller, click it back on. Now we can see it's working pretty well. One thing I don't like is it's occasionally getting stuck down. So this one is getting stuck at the top. So we're just going to reduce the bend for the top because it has the shortest travel versus the bottom has the longest travel, so you can keep that the longest. We're just going to keep playing with the sizing until it all works perfectly, because if you're here, do it right. In our case, it's now right. Nice and easy. Just give it a good little run just to make sure. That is just about perfect. So let's just put her back together. Now that we got everything all corrected, it slides back into place. The rumbles just go right into their slots. Then you just want to drop the face cover back on. Make sure everything's still lining up correctly. Looks like it is. So now we just want to start reassembling. I like to start with the middle screw. Kind of just holds everything together. Then you can kind of just see your work. Believe me, you don't want to have to take it apart 8 times. I've done it before. It's not difficult, but a learning experience each time. So I'll see it one side done. Take your side piece, click it on. So all it does is just press fits on. You can take this other side, get it all screwed together. We're going to take our other piece, push it back on. It's looking good. Take our batteries and our battery backing. There we go. So now let's just head back to the Xbox, run it through its paces one more time on the Xbox, make sure everything's working, and then I think we got us a working $20 Halo 5 Edition controller, which personally, I love this controller. I really wanted it when it came out, but I was too cheap to buy it. Instead, I just played my PlayStation 4 and let my Xbox sit for 2 years without a controller because my last one broke. Actually, I never had a last one. I bought one broke and I used it as a media streamer. But I wanted something that I could actually use this for, so I'm setting up a nice little basement viewing area with my projector, and I'd like to have the Xbox be the star of that attraction. So let's get this hooked back up and let's see what it looks like. Okay, we got the controller hooked back into the TV. So now let's just give it one more test. Now, as we can see, every button's working. So this is now a perfectly functioning, really good looking controller. So I will be using this from now on my Xbox One. Thanks for tuning in. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me in the comments. But for this one, it was just spending a little bit of metal to get that click back. As you can hear, we now have the click, which we did not have before. Thanks, everybody.